Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of Andrewsfootball.com. Welcome to my breakdown of the New Orleans Saints. If you're new to my channel, there's this button right down here. See it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. My channel, scientifically proven to make all your wildest dreams come true. Now, here's how my breakdown videos work. First, I break down what I like. Then I break down what I don't like. But stick around to the end where I break down the Vegas over-under and if you should put action down on the Saints. So let's break down what I like. In my opinion, the Saints have been the best team in the NFL the last 2 years. I mean, look how they lost in the playoffs. The Minneapolis Miracle. I've watched a lot of football in my life. 99 out of 100% of the time, that play, the receiver either runs out of bounds or the defensive back knows that the sideline's an extra defender. There's like 5 seconds left in the game. So all you got to do is just stay in front of him because he's not cutting back upfield. He's just going to go out of bounds. Two players run into each other. It's the most fluky thing you'll ever see. The Saints had that game won. I think that there's been enough talk about the Saints and the Rams game. I'm not going to go into detail, but bottom line, it was a fluky thing. It was something that should have went the Saints' way. The Saints looked like they should have won that football game. You can make a case that they deserve to win that football game. On my humble opinion, they've been the best team in the NFL the last 2 years. Now, would they have beaten the Eagles in order to get to the Super Bowl 2 years ago? Well, they beat them in the regular season and beat them in the playoffs last year. I think it's realistic to say that if they would have played against the Eagles, they have a 50-50 chance. And then if they get into the Super Bowl, I think they win at least one, if not sweep the Patriots. I mean, we could be looking at a Saints team trying to three-peat right now. That's not off the table, but they haven't got to a Super Bowl yet, unfortunately. One of the things I like about the Saints is that how many Pro Bowlers do they have on offense? Well, the second thing I like here, you know how many Pro Bowlers they have on the offense? 8. Now, Max Unger retired, but you have Breeze, Kamara, Thomas, Armstead, Pete, Wolford. They ended up drafting McCoy in the second round. He's going to be an excellent fit. Normally, a rookie center, I'd have some question marks, but when you're surrounded by 3 Pro Bowl linemen and Drew Brees, I don't have too much of a concern. Will the offensive line be as good as they were last year? Arguably not, but they gave up Brees was only sacked 17 times. That was an NFL best for quarterbacks that started 15 games. Keep in mind, he didn't need to play in the last one because they already had home field wrapped up. So, offense loaded everywhere. It's just ridiculous. And the defense, it was 14th in the NFL points per game, but they were second best in the yards, in rushing yards. And here's the thing, they did give up a lot of passing yards, but they had 9 games they won by double digits. 9. Okay? So yeah, you give up a lot of passing yards. It's really not that big of a deal. And here's another statistic. The Saints had 7.5 yards per attempt. Opponents, 6.9. The defense, number 1 in the league for rushing touchdowns allowed. Second in yards per carry. So not only are they extremely difficult to run against, they did give up passing yards but had 49 sacks. So the defense, not as loaded as the offense, but still a very, very good defense. So kind of just to recap, I mean, you had an NFL best record. Now, I know that they were tied with the Rams, but let's be honest, that last game of the season, if they needed to win that game, they would have. They would have been 14-2. They were tied with the Rams at 13-3, of course, beat the Rams in the regular season, so that last game was a throwaway. So it didn't matter. They were just playing backup. So really, I look at the Saints as the NFL best record, 13-2. All right? On offense, 7 returning Pro Bowlers, would be 8, but Unger retired. 7 Pro Bowlers on offense. What a ridiculous number. Defense, 2nd in the NFL in rushing yards, 2nd in yards per carry, number 1 in rushing touchdowns scored. And here's another crazy stat. Drew Brees' completion percentage, 74.4. Russell Wilson goes downfield a lot, uses play action pass. 8.1 yards per attempt. Drew Brees, 8.2. I mean, here's a guy, it's not like Brees' stat line's 13 out of 15 for 70 yards. He's actually throwing the ball downfield. I've often said Drew Brees is probably the most underrated player ever to play in the NFL. why isn't he not considered the greatest quarterback of all time? Seriously, he's going to have every single statistic. He's probably the most accurate passer to ever live. Why isn't he considered the greatest quarterback of all time? He was in one Super Bowl against Peyton Manning, who many people consider the greatest quarterback of all time. He won with an inferior supporting cast. Better coaching, but that's a different subject. But bottom line, Drew Brees, very underrated. Just my humble opinion. So what don't I like? Well, I kind of touched base on it earlier that the last 2 years they've been the NFL's best team. There's a window of opportunity here that's really closing, and I think it's closing rapidly for the Saints. Now keep in mind, somebody's going to go, well, what about New England? Okay, there's always an exception to the rule. New England's the exception here, but most teams have a window of opportunity. You can only be really, really good for so long. Now, Drew Brees is 40. He's going to be 41 by the time the season starts. When he's not playing, if he didn't play, let's say you take him out this year, or better yet, how good would Saints be without Drew Brees last year? 10 wins, 9 wins, 7 wins? I mean, and bottom line, Drew Brees towards the end of the season, there's talk about his shoulder being hurt. He wasn't throwing the ball downfield as well, and that's the second thing I don't like. Is speaking of not ending the season well, one of the big things I do when I break down teams is how did you end the season? Well, here's the thing. The Saints averaged 31.5 points a game. That's third in the NFL. They had a really awesome offense. But the last 4 games, and that last game against Carolina, I'm not including that. So I'll throw away that Panthers game, the last 4 before that, to get home field advantage. The offense, 28 points. 12 points, 31 points, 14 points. They're averaging 31.5 a game. They only got 31 once. Yeah, I heard that, Brees was hurt, and that's a big deal because, I mean, if his health's an issue, I hate to tell you this, you don't get healthier starting the season at 40. And then here's another thing. In the playoffs, they scored 20 points, and then they scored 23 points. And of course, they went 1-1 in the playoffs. The defense is good. All right, not great, but good. But bottom line, the Saints, they gotta win games with a great offense. They're an offensive team. They're trying to outscore you. They're not trying to win games 7-6, 14-10. They're not trying to do that. They want to win shootouts because they got the better quarterback. And of course, they got the better offense. So there's not much I don't like about this team, but here's the recap. You have a small window. That window's closing, okay? That window's closing. Has it already shut? All right? Is the window of opportunity for them to win Super Bowl, is it over? Or is this year still there? All right? I mean, keep in mind, Brees is going to be 41 sometime during this year. Father Time's undefeated. Also, the team did not end the season well. Their last 7 games, including the playoffs, they only went over 30 points once, and that was 31. So I don't like how the team I don't like how the team ended the season. And then in the playoffs, I mean, yeah, granted, they're going against 2 playoff defenses, but 20 and 23 points isn't very good. Okay. The over-under, the advanced section of the video here. The over-under is 10.5. If you want to bet for over 10.5s, that's plus 130, which means that a $100 wager will win you $130. But if you want to bet under 10.5, it's negative 150. So you have to wager 150 to win 100. I'm a little surprised because this has actually been going up. It went from plus 120 to plus 130. So that means that more and more people are betting on the under. Me personally, they won 11 games 2 years ago. They won 13 last year. I can make a strong case that this team's better on paper. I can also argue losing under means a lot. I don't think it means that as much for this particular team. So I'm going to argue on paper they're just as good, if not better. So I do like 10.5. I liked over. There's a possibility it could jump up to 11. I doubt it. Could it go down to 10? I seriously doubt. I think it's going to stay at 10.5. I liked over. To win the NFC South, though, is a better number. It's negative 160, which means that you have to wager $160 to win 100. I know that sounds crazy, but is there another team in the NFC that you're saying, oh, this team's definitely going to the playoffs? Is there? I mean, I like the Falcons, but I mean, I'm not sitting here thinking the Falcons are going to be a 12-13 win team. Some people do. I don't. They're also tied with the Rams at plus 1,000 to win the Super Bowl. You know what? I should have done. I should have looked up just to win the NFC. I just looked up to win the Super Bowl. But bottom line, I believe it's 5-1 odds. I'll double check. By the way, hey, if you think that's important, you know, leave a comment there. I'll answer your comments. I don't mind. So bottom line, I like the over. I like them to win the NFC South. Even if they regress, I'd have a hard time believing that they're going to win less than 11 games. This is a really good football team. The window's closing. I think they know this. I think this year they're still the best team in the NFC, maybe the NFL. So listen, if you're a subscriber to Andrews Football, you already know you're one of the greatest people on planet Earth. All your wildest dreams are going to come true. But if you're new to my channel, there's this button. See it? See it? See it? Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Check out my playlist. I got some great content here. Friday, I'm breaking down the Rams. It's going to be a great video. So, hey, I'll see you Friday.